Hello everyone, and welcome to another honest review by the Joy of Pro Wrestling Network. I'm your host Mark Ross, and today we are discussing WWE's Day 1 pay-per-view, or premium live event, held at Atlanta, Georgia State Farm Arena in front of 13,657 fans. So, sold out crowd for WWE, which they've been doing rather poorly lately in attendance, it looks like, from all the pictures that's been taken at the live events and house shows, and even at the SmackDown and Raw events. They kind of look to be, the crowd looks to be dwindling lately. But hot crowd in Hotlanta, Georgia, and so January 1st, New Year. Let's see what WWE's got the very first day of the year with their very first pay-per-view of the year, or premium live event is what they're going to refer to it as moving forward, I believe. They're always kind of doing silly stuff like that, taking away the, WrestleMania number. It kind of a little bit bothered me when they took away the number of the WrestleManias. I thought that it kind of gave whatever happened in that WrestleMania of that year a significant number, that you'd remember it by. We all know what happened at WrestleMania 3 with Hulk and Andre. We know that was WrestleMania 3. Just certain milestones, certain milestones that you remember, like Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania 30, and I think WrestleMania 30 might have been the last year that they numbered the WrestleManias. But anyhow, moving on, the pre-show kicks off with Ricochet and Cesaro versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland. Sheamus and Ridge Holland, have been kind of messing with Cesaro a little bit, because Cesaro and Sheamus have got their past thing going on, and Ricochet's kind of thrown in the middle of it because he ain't, they can't give him anything else to do. So, pretty good match. I thought it was a really good match to kick off the year. Ridge Holland gets his nose broke during the match, kind of toward the beginning of the match. I believe that Ricochet was tagging in, and as he was, tagging in, they kind of did a double team on Ridge Holland, and Ricochet was, did his flip and hit him with his knee, and it just busted his nose wide open. And there's a video of that, and I'm sure there's a picture here, but there's a video of that in the description if you want to check it out. But it was pretty cool. I know dude got hurt, but the way they all handled it was awesome. Even Ricochet, 4 veterans in the ring, that know what they're doing. Ricochet knew right away that he hurt him, by the amount of blood he was losing. And first match right off the bat, blood again. I talked about it in the last video, but cool. Ridge Holland breaks his nose, and Ricochet, veteran-like, drags him over to the corner so he can make the tag to his partner. And then from there on, Sheamus is on his own. Holland rolls out of the ring, and, they take care of him. They tell us he's, got a broken nose update during the match. And Sheamus is really coming out of this looking like a badass. He is just... I've always liked Sheamus. I'm not sure what everybody else thinks of him. He never really gets talked about in any kind of conversations for anything, but he's former heavyweight champion, WWE champion. You know, he's won some big matches. He's beaten some opponents, and you know, can't quite say off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and watch some matches, but you know, he's a guy kind of like Drew McIntyre, which I'll get to later in the show. I've always liked Drew, and during the pandemic, they say, you know, they call it, he carried the company, I thought, and but anyhow, so the crowd's very loud in this match. Atlanta, they're showing you that they're ready for some good wrestling tonight. So and the way it started, it looks like the talent, the performers are ready to put on a good show and, you know, kick off the year in a really good way. Sheamus is kicking some ass, having a fight on his own, and Sheamus hits the brogue kick to Cesaro and gets the pinfall to win. Very good match. I thought it really showed the strength of Sheamus, and Sheamus, I think, maybe starting this year because of this match, he'll get a little bit more credit, and his name will start popping up in the conversation as he hopefully gets some more wins from here. I'd like to see some different guys in the mold for the heavyweight titles, even if it means a brand split, and we might get to that later on in the video as well. So Sheamus wins the pre-show pretty good, kicking off the day one pay-per-view for the first day of the year. Match number 2 to kick off the premium live event, tag team match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Usos coming in as champions versus the New Day. This was a pretty good physical match. These two teams in the WWE showing why they should be thought of as the top 2 tag teams in the business right now. I know there's a lot of other good tag teams, and even in other companies like FTR and the Lucha Bros and some others. Anyhow, these guys are working. They're showing why they're the best tag teams, or they should be considered the best tag teams, at least in the WWE. Even in this match, you know, it was a seesaw battle going back and forth, and really physical match. They were putting 120% into their performance, and trying to really prove themselves as the best tag teams, and you know, but there was a spot in the match where they were all fighting. They kind of looked at each other as they were standing there all beat up, and they kind of gave each other respect for like a split second, and before they started beating the hell out of each other again. And so my notes when the match started says, tired of seeing these teams wrestle each other. The match was really good. I actually gave it 3 stars. It was better than average. They did a really good job. Really good seesaw match, and the crowd really was into it. You know, the crowd was really hot for both teams, really. I know the Usos get some heat, but they're, you know, they get some love too, because, you know, they the ones, you know. But you know, but I was kind of thinking at the beginning of this that, you know, I'm tired of seeing these two wrestle, but, you know, in the end, I kind of realized that this was an awesome match to kick off the year, to show that these two teams are, you know, legit teams. And, you know, the crowd was really into it, yelling, "This is awesome," you know, and the seesaw battle the whole way through. And the Usos, you know, they pull off a 3D at the end to get the win. So the Usos still the ones going into 2022. And, good call. Really could have gone either way. I wouldn't have cared really. As long as one of these two teams had the belts going into 22, you know, you got to put the belts on the best, and they're the best. So the other teams can battle it out. You know, put more focus this year on a better tag team division, because AEW, they seem to have their tag team division starting to improve. Lucha Brothers are awesome. I really enjoy their matches. Not really my style of wrestling, but they're just, I don't know, I just like watching them. I like Alex Abrahantes, and I think he's an awesome manager. Some people don't like him, but he just brings a presence to the matches and the crowd and the interaction. And they got some good chemistry with FTR going right now, and there's some other stuff going on with them, but that'll maybe get talked about in a separate video in the future. But back to WWE. So the Usos get the 3D to win and retain their SmackDown Tag Team Championships. So the Tag Team Champions, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship belts are still in the bloodline. Roman Reigns is at home sick, but Usos pulled through. Usually they don't. When Roman's gone, they kind of screw it up, usually, without him there for backup. But they got it done this time, and in good fashion. Something I almost forgot to talk about. Jey Uso's super kicks. They need talked about. They're awesome. One of the best super kicks. He doesn't really straighten his leg out, you know. Sometimes Shawn Michaels or some other people would give like some really good straight leg super kicks. His is kind of bent, but they're brutal. And I don't know, just pay attention next time when he's doing his kicks and just see how they land. There's a couple kicks. He kicked Kofi so hard, I thought he about knocked him out. And when I went and back to watch this match over again to kind of review everything, get a second look at it, I found that Jey Uso had kicked Kofi 2 separate times. And the second time I watched it back, I thought it was the first kick I saw, but then I saw, well, he kicked him twice. Really good. I mean, I know they're working, but he looked like he kicked the shit out of Kofi, and Kofi's pretty tough for taking that if it was, you know. But anyway, great super kicks by Jey, so check that out sometime. Next match, Madcap Moss with Happy Corbin versus Drew McIntyre. You know, Madcap Moss and Corbin have been very juvenile, you know, lately. They're out in the ring telling corny jokes and just, you know, they're the only people laughing at, they're laughing at themselves, you know. And so they got that gimmick going on, and they've been messing with Drew McIntyre. They took a sword. One time, Drew McIntyre, before a match, I guess, shoved the sword into a desk backstage, and I'm not sure. I can't really remember what happened, but Drew McIntyre shoved the sword into a desk, and they ended. Corbin and Madcap Moss ended up stealing the table that had the sword in it because they couldn't get the sword out. They wanted the sword, so they next week, they showed up taunting with the sword in the ring, with the whole table in the ring, with the sword still stuck in it, and they couldn't get it out. And Drew McIntyre comes out, I can get it out, guys. Pulls it right out, and runs him off with it. He's always shaking that thing around and holding it on his shoulder and touching it. It's like, man, that thing be cutting somebody up. I even think he swung it one time and he hit the mat in the ring and it didn't, cut it or nothing. But it is what it is. But so Madcap Moss versus Drew McIntyre. While we're talking about Drew McIntyre, he's there's no way you can't look at this dude and just see champion written all over him. He's what Vince McMahon drools over and dreams about at night. You just can't look at him and say, man, he really should be battling in the top ranks. He's not the most charismatic at times or whatever, but what am I saying? Like he's very charismatic. Look at him, he's the man. Anyway, really good physical match. Two big brute dudes fighting in the ring. Madcap is really learning the ropes with Drew. Drew's teaching him a thing or two. Very stiff match. Drew's beating him up pretty good, and Madcap's taking it pretty good, and he's giving some too. And very good match. My notes say Drew McIntyre attempts a superplex on the top rope, and Moss counters, and Drew is pinned, hanging upside down in the corner, but is able to counter Moss onto the mat, and that sets up the Claymore. Moss actually countered the first Claymore, but Drew was able to hit the second Claymore kick to defeat him. So Drew wins by pinfall over Madcap Moss, and very good victory for Drew, and a good match for Madcap Moss to learn the ropes, and kind of digging his character and where it's going with Happy Corbin. But I think it's good for those guys right now, I think. So I'm kind of enjoying their little duo together. But Drew gets the win, like he should, because he's the man. And then the next match, Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford versus RK Bro, Riddle, and Randy Orton. The Migos came out with, made the entrance with RK Bro during their entrance to the ring, and crowd was loving it, hometown crowd. I was kind of wanting a swerve to happen maybe a little bit with the Migos getting involved, because the Street Profits were kind of playing the heels to the crowd, kind of mocking RK Bro, and kind of they were talking a lot of shit back and forth to the Migos a little bit, but after it was all said and done, when I thought about it, yeah, it was a pretty good call to have them there, with the baby faces, RK Bro, and good good tag team match. I didn't give it a rating. I'd have to go back and watch it again, but it was a very good match between the two, and RK Bro coming in as the Raw Tag Team Champions. They're probably the best tag team to have that right now, and Street Profits aren't far behind. I hope they don't split them up and they're a tag team for future years to come. I think they've got a very good dynamic together, and kind of like the New Day has all those years and the Usos, and I don't think that even if they don't win the tag team championships, their tag team can still be remembered for longevity. There's countless tag teams that you remember that weren't necessarily the champions all the time, but you didn't forget them. But so the swerve never happened, and the crowd's real hot for RK Bro, and Street Profits are even getting some love, but they're taunting the crowd a little bit, playing the heel, and but they're not going to beat RK Bro, and the notes say Riddle assists with the RKO to get the win, and Orton pinned Ford to get the win to retain the Raw Tag Team Championships, and they were all kind of beat up, and Randy Orton and Riddle were celebrating with their belts and stuff as the Street Profits were making their way to their feet, kind of sad that they lost the match, but still they getting respect from RK Bro. That was a good match that they all just had, and two babyface teams pretty much going up for the tag team titles with the Migos there, so they all got up and shook hands, and they did their pose at the end, and it was pretty good stuff. When they said the Migos were going to be there, I thought they were going to perform, and I kind of wasn't expecting. I was expecting them to perform. I wasn't expecting them to kind of be ringside guests to the match. But which one was it? Offset, that was in the Ric Flair videos, that's kind of buddies with Ric Flair, and they talk back and forth a lot. He seemed really excited to be there. Like, you could tell out of the three of them that he was the most excited to be there. He kind of respects the business, and so they were pretty good guests. It went over better than I thought it would. So that match ends, and they go to a backstage segment where Drew McIntyre's walking around pretending like he can't find the locker room, and then the interviewer lady, I can't remember her name, comes up to him, asking him about the match that he just had, and he's giving it up to Madcap, and he's like, man, I won, but barely, and he took me to the limit, and I got respect for him, and even Corbin, they really put me up against the wall, and really putting the both of them over, pretty good, and then they just come out and boom, start really working on him good and beating him up backstage, and they drag him to the ground, and I think Baron Corbin or one of them hit him with a chair, and then knocked him down, and they're beating on him, and then Corbin's like, put the chair around his neck, and they put the chair around his neck, and then he like picks up one of the light things or whatever it was, and in the back, Corbin has it, and he's getting ready to smash it down on him, because he's got the chair around his little neck he's doing the concerto with whatever he's got in his hand, and it bam comes down on him. So Drew's laying there, you can't breathe, and Adam Pearce and all the refs are standing there like, what are you doing? You gotta get out of here. Oh my God, Adam Pearce is freaking out. He's like, somebody get a medic. He's like over dramatic, but doing the whole Adam Pearce schnick, but it was a very cool little segment backstage, but I'm hoping that it doesn't send Drew to the injured list, for too long. I want to see Drew back in action, It might put him out until the Royal Rumble, possibly. And does he come back and continue to feud with Madcap and Corbin after this match? I'd say yes. I think it'd be pretty good little feud to keep going, because now they got a reason, to fight each other, instead of just fun and games. And, now it's, you poke the bear now, and, he was giving it up to you, and he was getting ready to, Drew was getting ready to bury the hatchet with y'all, and y'all just shouldn't have done that. And I think they'll find out, at least I hope. I hope Drew isn't going away, but we shall see. So, the next match, Miz with Maurice versus Edge. This is just kind of like a grudge match of some kind that they've cultivated, unless I'm missing something from back in the day. But kind of a way, I think, maybe to get Beth Phoenix into wrestling again. But Miz with Maurice versus Edge, awesome match. It's not going to be the best match of the year, but it might be best match for a while of the year, but I mean, it's the first match of the year, first event of the year, and there's many more to come. We still got, just in a few days, Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page Part 2. So a lot of good stuff coming up this year. I hope, if the momentum can keep up, with this pay-per-view. It's a good sign for WWE, I think. But Edge comes out. He does his entrance, and Edge comes out to the Brood intro. So Edge is kind of like bringing back the old school, like, maybe telling Miz, you don't know who you're messing with. This is, I have multiple personalities that you don't realize, that I'm going to bring back if you don't, cool it. And so he comes out to the Brood entrance, and he does the Brood entrance and comes down halfway, to the ring, and then he kind of stops and the lights go out, and then he does his normal Edge on this day, everything, fireworks going off, the whole nine. Crowd's really into it. They're ready for this match. I was expecting this to be a pretty decent match, and I got better than a decent match at the, when it was all said and done. It was, it'd probably be in the top 10 matches of the year, I'd say. I hope we see a lot more good matches, but I'll make a prediction. So the match starts and they wrestle back and forth, and they end up outside, where Maurice is able to distract the Miz, or distract Edge. Alright, let me rewind that. They wrestle back and forth, and they end up outside where Maurice is able to distract Edge. The Miz then shoved his face into the ring post. This allows Miz to take control of the match. So the Miz has control of the match. A lot of things going on and happening in this match. Everybody is playing their part in this, doing a really good job. The referees involved. Maurice, I haven't really paid attention much. I've never really been a big Miz fan. I thought he's kind of bland and boring. I'm kind of getting into his character now that he's, establishing his veteran presence or whatnot. But I never really paid attention to Maurice's work, and man, she's really throws the dynamic together with them two, kind of like the way, like a Savage and Miss Elizabeth, even like say when Savage, they were both heels in the NWO. The way they would treat the other wrestlers, and if you remember like DDP and Kimberly and their little feud. But so Miz has control of the match, and the match goes back outside, and Maurice is trying her best to catch the ref off guard, not paying attention, and she's doing her best to distract the referee, or try to at least not even distract the referee or catch her not looking, and so she can pull something on Edge. But really doing a good job working out there, and the referee, there's a spot where the two are working on the apron, and Edge gets the Miz into, he does this Falcon Arrow type suplex onto the outside of the floor, and then starts favoring his left knee and starts selling his knee. He's slow to get up, and then the match, I guess they're kind of getting counted out there, and then the match, or Edge gets back into the ring, so the match moves back into the ring, but not for long, as the Miz he'll slide out and catch Edge, and plant him face first on the apron, and he'll start kind of beating him up on the outside, and he takes him to the announce table, and they start fighting there, and Miz tries the skull crushing finale on Edge, but Edge counters, and he puts Miz like face first into the table. The table did not break. It was still kind of a pretty good bump. But the match returns to the ring, and so Miz didn't go through the table on Edge's counter to the skull crushing finale. So they both get back in the ring, and Edge climbs up the turnbuckle and does a flying crossbody, and of course the Miz kicks out of that, but that was a pretty cool move. Edge has really got an arsenal of moves tonight that he's pulling out. Kind of like his old self is coming out in him, I thought. He's pulling out some moves. I kind of forgot the names of the moves. I haven't seen them in a while, and I think that the commentators didn't remember some of the names of his moves either. I was hoping that they would call him out so I would remember him, but like the Falcon Arrow move I mentioned earlier, I'm not really sure what the name of that move was. If it wasn't a Falcon Arrow, if someone wants to put the name of the move into the comments, feel free. But you know, but Edge is pulling out all the stops tonight. He's really bringing it out and giving it to the Miz. But you know, he's still hurt with that leg. You know, it's still bothering him. He's selling the leg, and Miz gets him into a figure four. It says he tried to get him into a figure four the first time, but I guess Edge was able to kind of counter out of it. But then he kicked Edge into the ring post. You know, coming out of the figure four hold. So anyway, the Miz, he gets Edge into figure four, and Edge reverses the figure four, almost causing the Miz to tap. He's got the hold reversed there for a good while, and but the hold is released, and then Miz gets up and then he attempts the STF. Edge maneuvers out. Then Miz hits a slingshot and tries to use the ropes for a pin. The ref then scolds the Miz, and the crowd starts to chant, "You can't do that." So the match continues, and it's, you know, continues to be a great match back and forth, and all participants are working. You know, Maurice is still working, the referee, trying to get cheap shots in, and there's a spot where Edge has Miz in the crossface, but, you know, Maurice puts the boots on the rope for him, you know, so he can get out of it, or get a rope break to get out of the hold, out of Edge's hold. Very good work going on. The ref's doing a lot of work in this match too. But the fight continues, and very good spots leading into the finish of this match. Like I said, this is going to be one of the best matches of the year, and I recommend going back and watching this one. Probably the best match on the card here tonight. All matches on the card were pretty good. Even the next match, which I didn't take notes on at all, I'll get to that later, but usually when it's a good match, I'll have a good amount of notes. As you can see here, I've got like 3 or 4 pages of notes on this one match here, and I've probably spent 25 minutes talking about it already, but anyway, so, you know, Edge is setting up for the spear on the Miz. He's just, you know, knocked him on his ass, and he's trying to get up. Maurice is like, you know, come on, and he's trying to get up, and the Edge is getting ready to hit the spear, and the Miz dodges it and sends Edge face first into the turnbuckle again, and as he hits face first into the turnbuckle, Maurice hits him with her purse, you know, but the whole time the referee can't see because the Miz is, you know, faking an injury on his leg to distract the referee while, you know, Edge is getting his face smacked in with the purse by Maurice, you know. Great work. So as Edge sets up for the spear, Miz dodges, and Edge goes face first into the turnbuckle. Then, Maurice hits him with the purse, and Miz fakes the injury so that Maurice can get a cheap shot in with the purse. Hits a skull-crushing finale on the Edge, and you think that's it. 1, 2, nope, kick out, false finish. So, he's just standing there like, sitting there like, Maurice, what are we going to do? I just hit my move. What am I going to do to this guy to put him away? And then as the Miz is, Maurice has her back turned to the entrance, and, Miz is like sitting there facing the entrance, like pointing, towards up the ramp, and Maurice looks back up, and Beth Phoenix is standing there looking like a complete badass. And then she chases Maurice around the ring and distracts Miz, and Miz is like, they're all yelling at each other, and the Miz is circling the ring as they're running around the ring, not paying attention to what's going on in the match, and which, he turns around and gets speared by Edge, and, Edge wins by pinfall. Very good match to set up possibly a feud between all of them, and I'm sure this isn't the end of that. So next on the card, match 6, Liv Morgan versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Heavyweight Championship. My notes for this match went on for a while, as most of the matches did tonight, because of they were missing one match on the card, in particular their main event, Roman Reigns, but why he can't be there. But so all the matches got a little bit more time, and which gave I thought a little bit more time for the matches to shine in each match, or each match to shine on the show. But my notes for this match was Becky wins, who cares? Liv Morgan's getting the Toni Storm treatment. She's just hasn't quit yet. They keep pushing her, and then it gets nowhere. Like if they wouldn't have done nothing with Daniel Bryan when they kept pushing him around, it's like there's never going to be a payoff for Liv Morgan ever. I said that Toni Storm, how many chances is she going to get versus Charlotte? And she even had the chance at or she had a chance at the title or on Christmas Eve night, and lost. And I was just like, if she don't win this, she's never winning. And same for Liv Morgan. They're playing all them packages, of when she was a kid, and it's her dream, and she's crying in the ring and playing a really big baby face, to the crowd. And Becky Lynch is just a big, she's a channel changer for me. I hate watching her when she's on TV. If I'm rewatching Raw or something with her on it, like, I always fast forward through her segments. I can't stand her. She reminds me a little of, like, I hate to give her this much credit even, but she reminds me of Hollywood Hogan back in the day in the NWO, burying guys all the time. I just, she came back from her hiatus from having a baby, she should go back to the end of the line. You know, they took the strap off of Bianca Belair for what? It just doesn't make any sense to me how they run their women's division and how they treat these women. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother video, but I'll just leave it there. Liv Morgan loses. I hope I never have to see her wrestle Becky Lynch for this again. They obviously want Becky as the champion and no one else. At least with Toni Storm, I thought that Charlotte was teaching and helping Toni Storm learn the ropes, and, you know, wasn't burying Toni, but I don't know why they did what they did to her either. But anyway, on to the main event. So we got Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens versus Bobby Lashley versus Big E versus Brock Lesnar. It was a fatal four-way. I'll be honest, this whole pay-per-view really didn't interest me one bit. And after the news with Roman, I thought about not even doing this video, but it kind of sparked my interest when they threw Brock into this match, and then it became a fatal five-way, because I just predicted. I mean, some people are pissed and they're mad that he won and he's the champion again, and he's a part-time champion, yada yada yada. No, he's the man, and he's the real legitimate heavyweight champion of the world now, you know, and he should be. Anyway, I just gave away the finish without even discussing the match, but I was expecting this match to be a big clusterfuck, to be honest, but it wasn't. It turned out really good, and it had a purpose. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins had a plan, you know, from the beginning to help one another and take out each other, and pretty good match. It's way better than I thought it would have been, but there were a couple spots where Big E hit two really huge stiff clotheslines to Brock Lesnar. I thought I'd bring that up, but so there's a spot on the outside where Bobby Lashley spears Brock Lesnar through the barricade, and then, you know, they're both laid out, and it gives Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens the chance to really start putting the beating on Big E. So, you know, they get Big E in the ring, and then Kevin Owens gives Big E a swanton, pins him, and then he kicks out, and then Seth Rollins is ready, and then he gives him the big frog splash off the top, and he kicks out of that, and then, you know, so Seth Rollins gives Big E the curb stomp, and then, you know, Brock Lesnar, he gets back up and gets back into the ring, and then gives them an F5, and then just starts F5, and, you know, everybody in the ring, but, you know, Bobby Lashley's still laid out, and but Bobby Lashley comes back in, and then he hits a spear. Lesnar kicks out at 2. So Bobby Lashley puts the Hurt Lock on him. Lashley gets the Hurt Lock on Brock Lesnar, and then Big E gets back up, and then Big E gives the big ending to Bobby Lashley, and then turns around and gets F5 by Brock Lesnar, and then Brock Lesnar, 1, 2, 3, no kick out, new WWE heavyweight champion. WWE threw an audible tonight, threw a wild card into the match, and switched it up a little bit, and hopefully, you know, this will lead to a I guess match, possibly it could you could go Brock versus Roman at WrestleMania, or you could, they teased a lot of Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar in this match. I wouldn't mind seeing that at WrestleMania, and that would still leave The Rock open, if he has the time. If he can make the time to show up, he, could have a WrestleMania moment against Roman Reigns, and it could be huge this year. But we shall see. Very good pay-per-view to kick off the year. I thought it was very solid. And it's got me hyped for the rest of the year, so hopefully WWE won't let us down this year and give us a little bit more of what we want. But that's it for the show. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't yet, and there will be more content soon to come. Thank you.